Born to Be Therapeutic Equestrian Center is dedicated to providing the opportunity for individuals to become all they were born to be through a partnership with a horse. Born to Be Therapeutic Equestrian Center provides safe and affordable therapeutic horseback riding and carriage driving programs for children and adults with disabilities. Our instructors are all PATH certified in riding, driving, or both. Programs are offered for children and adults with disabilities that include but are not limited to autism, paraplegia, cerebral palsy, multiple sclerosis, intellectual disability, traumatic brain injury, attention deficit disorder, developmental disability, hearing, and visual impairment. The therapeutic riding of a horse provides a three-dimensional movement that mimics the human walking gait, movement that is difficult to duplicate in a clinical setting. Positive results have been achieved in the following areas: sequencing abilities, balance, posture, muscle tone, self-esteem, motor skills, and social interaction. Therapeutic driving is unique in that it offers people who cannot ride or choose not to ride the opportunity to participate in an equine activity. Driving provides all the benefits of riding, but also utilizes to a greater degree hand-eye coordination and spatial awareness. Volunteers are the lifeblood of a therapeutic riding center. You are invited to come visit and learn how volunteering may be the most rewarding experience of your life. The parents of our riders' biggest worry is, what happens to my child when I'm not here? Every step of independence we give our students lessens that worry just a bit. Parents of children in the riding program discuss how therapeutic riding has helped their youngster and the tangible and intangible benefits of their program.
I just appreciate what Born to Be does for my daughter Natalie. She has certain, what some people would call limitations outside of this arena as far as horses and riding. Things like softball or basketball or other things might not have been available to her as far as playing for a school or things like that. But when she comes to Born to Be, she is an all-star. She gets to ride horses, she gets to talk to horses, she gets to do things that maybe she wouldn't get to do outside of this place, but because of the volunteers, because of the others that lead, she has confidence, self-confidence, she has self-awareness, she has things that she wouldn't normally have maybe outside of this place. That it brings out things that we hadn't seen before in her, things that maybe wouldn't shown up if we hadn't found out about therapeutic horse riding, that she just loves being here. Everybody talks about how excited she is when we tell her she has horse riding that day. She has her clothes laid out, her boots ready, her helmet ready, and it's to her probably the best thing that she has in her life going. And who knows what she's almost 17, but who knows in the next few years what, not just riding, but maybe volunteering someday. So we are just very excited about what it has done for her.
We serve individuals with physical, educational, intellectual, and emotional disabilities. Each lesson is a team effort of people and horses working together to accomplish a common goal. Our participants range in age from 5 years to senior adults. Born to Be Therapeutic Equestrian Center is a family-oriented center. We are volunteer-based, relying on amazing people who generously give of their time to provide a hopeful, helpful, and healthy environment to ultimately see disabilities turn into possibilities every day. We could not achieve our mission without their generosity and kind hearts. Born to Be is grateful for our incredible herd of therapy horses, most of whom are on loan or donated to the program. For without them, the magic would never happen.
I'm really happy that I found Born to Be. All the people here are wonderful. I love spending time with the horses, and it allows me for more movement. I'm very limited on how far I can walk, and the horses let me pretty much go anywhere, anytime.
One of the things that I've loved getting to do as a part of Born to Be is getting to build a relationship with the horse that I ride, whose name is Houdini, and he's a Appaloosa, and he's a very pretty horse.
I have been volunteering in several different organizations over the years, but 4 years ago I was asked to volunteer for Born to Be. I thought it was kind of an interesting opportunity. I had come late to horses, and so I thought it would be a good educational thing for me to learn how to take care of the horses, tack them up, and all of that. I discovered that actually I was the one that was getting a lot out of it, because just watching the progression of the students, over the 4 years I've watched one student not be able to sit up in the saddle, not be able to hold her head up, not be able to speak to the horse, and now she can do all those things, and it's just kind of really emotional to have watched that and to see how hard these students work at communicating with the horse, keeping themselves in the right frame, listening to the instructors. The instructors are magnificent. They're so patient. And so the whole experience has been extremely rewarding, and I would urge anyone who is interested or even thinking about exploring volunteering for an organization such as Born to Be, go ahead and give it a try. It's you will not regret it.
Volunteering is very important to me. I started volunteering to be around the horses, but then I soon found out that being around the people was just as important as me getting to be around the horses. Very impactful to see the riders who come in wheelchairs or with crutches or something like that. They get to leave that behind when they get on the horse and just move freely with the horse. And I think that it's empowering for me without all that, but I can imagine how it feels for them when they get to leave their wheelchair behind and move with the horse. We always need volunteers, and if you're interested in coming out, there's plenty of training to teach you everything you need. People are beside you the whole way until you feel comfortable working with the horses, or whatever you need.
My daughter Anna has been involved with therapeutic riding since she was about 5, and she's 27 now. So she began with 2 sidewalkers and a leader, and now she rides independently and shows independently at the walk and trot. But more importantly is the progress that she's made, which is due largely to therapeutic riding. If you were to do a score of Anna's life, do a musical score, the bass notes would all be hoofbeats. that's been the thing that's carried her from one bit of progress to the next over time. Her first independent steps at 3 were holding on to the lead rope of a lovely big paint mare named Big Mama, and it gave her the confidence, and the riding gave her the core strength to be able to take those first steps at 3. And she had very, very limited speech when she was young, maybe 5 spoken words at the age of 5. And the movement of sitting on a walking horse moves a person's pelvis in a way that stimulates the speech centers in your brain. And a lot of her progress with speech has been due to the riding over time. It's really improved her cognition. It's improved her core strength and her balance. It's through all those repeated clip-clops over the years that Anna has learned to reach across her midline and to do more complicated patterns like a trail pattern and sequencing and all those things that are an issue for someone who has both physical and intellectual disabilities. So I credit therapeutic riding with a lot of that, and Born to Be in particular, because this is a very individualized program, and we tailor it for the needs of our individual riders. And we have riders of all ages and with all different kinds of disabilities. So someone like Anna with a rare genetic disorder that leads to low muscle tone and all sorts of fine and gross motor issues, as well as intellectual disabilities, is greatly helped, as are people with other kinds of issues, young children with Downs, all sorts of things. But for Anna, it's been the defining activity of her life, and it's second only to family. Might be first, I'm not sure, you'd have to ask her, but it's certainly her event and her thing, and the volunteers and the staff are her best friends. And over the years, I look back at the fabulous all-star horses that have helped her on her journey, and she would not be where she is today without therapeutic riding. There's no question in anybody's mind. So that's mine.
I am so grateful for Born to Be in so many ways. When my daughter and I had come down with Lyme disease, of course, as a mom, you care more about your kiddo than you do yourself. And my daughter was in bed for 2 years. And of course, I had been in bed for 4, but I cared more about her. And I was looking for things to try to entice her to try to gain her interest, because she was so sick and she was getting depressed. And, as a mom, I was laying in bed at night crying and asking God, help, I don't know what to do. And I remembered that when she was younger, she loved horses. She was into horses. And I thought it was just a phase like every young teenage girl goes through. But I thought, well, maybe I can use that. So I went on the internet and I looked around for a therapeutic riding facility that was near us, and I found Born to Be. So I emailed and so forth, and eventually we set up an evaluation. And as I sat there and Eva was doing her evaluation, I saw my daughter start to get a bit of a light in her eyes. And then Eva looked at me and said, well, you're sick too. Why don't you come ride also? Well, I don't like to sweat. I don't like to be dirty. I don't like my hair out of place, all of that. And I thought, oh, this is so not for me. But I have a hard time saying no to somebody's face. So I said yes to Eva, but I planned to just ride for a month and then quit by email so that I didn't have to say it to her face. Well, coming up to Born to Be saved our lives. My daughter now, I think it's 3 years later, she is out of bed. She's going to school. She is going to college. She is studying equine science. My goals as a speech pathologist, I knew about making treatment plans and setting your goals and having something to shoot for. So my first goal, the first time I got on the horse, I think I lasted 10 minutes. And then I was just so fatigued and I just came right down. And my goals first were to build up and build up and build up, but then I set my sights on something that I thought was huge and didn't know if I'd ever make it. I wanted to become a volunteer. I wanted to get enough physical strength back and enough memory and cognitive ability, because that was just also wiped out. And I have to tell you, this is one of the things I am most proud of in my whole life, is my volunteer badge, because I've made it back. And I credit the horses. I credit of course, there's the emotional side with the horses that you can't quantify, you can't put into words, but everybody knows it's there. And then, of course, the physical and the riding and building up my strength. And I consider myself now, I'm a horse person. I get dirty, I get muddy, I sweat, all of that, and I can't wait to come back every single time. So I will never be able to put it all into words, but horses save lives, and what Born to Be does is amazing.
So growing up, I was able to ride horses and show horses, and I dreamed that one day I would get to both work with horses and with people, and I wasn't sure what that would look like. I assumed I would be like almost everybody else. I'd give riding lessons or maybe work with a 4-H club, something like that. And then through a chain of events, I found out about therapeutic horseback riding. And as soon as I got involved, I chose to become a certified therapeutic horseback riding instructor. And that was in 1995. And that's what I still do today. So it has been a joyful career where the people that I know just feel like family. Some of my students I've known since they were 2 or 3 years old, and they're now 26, 27 years old. Another young man I've known since he was 8, and he's 31. And so watching them grow up with horseback riding has been a joy, and just the effect that it's had on their lives. I've had students that maybe weren't talking, and they've learned to start talking through their time on the horse. I've had students that hadn't walked before, and through their time on the horse, they've learned to walk. One of the most interesting things about riding horses is that riding a horse at a walk moves our human pelvis in the same way as if we were walking. And so it provides that motion for them and gives them a sense of what walking would feel like. And that has been an amazing part of therapeutic riding. But the relationships have been even more important. They, especially here at Born to Be, we have a family. We're a small therapeutic riding center, and we don't seek to be one of the large centers, but because we want to remain family. From our volunteers to our parents to our students to the horses, all of it. We have a small feel. You know, for example, I've been to some of my students' graduations, birthday parties, you name it. We're a part of each other's lives, and that is what we are about here. And of course, we couldn't do this without the horses themselves. We need quality horses that have good training background behind them, horses that are sound, and horses that have a good mind, horses that can tolerate being ridden by many different types of people, maybe students that are unbalanced, or maybe they're very loud, or maybe they move around a lot on the horse. So we look for horses that are that fit our program. And honestly, we probably only receive about 30% of the horses that we ever get called about. Only about 30% make it. So Born to Be is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and we first came into existence in 2012. And through that time, we have become a premier accredited center through PATH, which is the Professional Association of Therapeutic Horsemanship. And we have been able to provide therapeutic horseback riding lessons to people with various types of disabilities, people that may have cerebral palsy, multiple sclerosis, Down syndrome, people with Lyme disease, with autism. So we have been able to work with people of all sorts of different types of needs. And it has been a blessing to be a part of their lives, to be able to make an impact on their daily lives, to see them be able to change from maybe being unconfident to realizing they are empowered when they're on a horse, that the horse gives them the ability to do things they wouldn't be able to do in the other rest of their lives. And we've had students that maybe came their first lesson and maybe sat on the horse for about 10 minutes before they were too exhausted and had to get down. And then over a year's time, they could ride for 45 minutes to an hour. They had the strength to stay on the horse that long. They went from not even being able to pick up their reins to be able to hold their reins and to steer and to control their horse, to give that horse the verbal commands, to be able to tell it what they wanted to do. We've had students that experience pain every day, and they will tell you that when they get on the horse, that their pain goes away. That we have students that often are on pain medication, even for whatever disability they may have, and the day that they come for horseback riding, they don't have to take their pain medicine that day. So there are so many different benefits we see physically, but also emotionally. You have students that form a bond with their horse. A lot of individuals that may have a hard time in the social aspects of their life, maybe making friends or just having regular conversations with people. They learn through the horse how to have a relationship, and they can talk to their horse. They learn how to communicate with that horse, and then what that leads to is they learn to communicate with their volunteers, and they communicate with their instructors, and then outside of therapeutic riding, they learn how to have better communication with their family and friends. So that on the emotional side, it also, and relationship side, changes their lives as well.